I absolutely bombed at 3 different business ideas that I put my whole heart into in about 4 or 5 years. But along the way, I learned more lessons than I could have ever possibly learned by staying in school for 8 years. While I had all these plans, it turns out God had a plan for me, and now I have a new plan. I'm trying to make a 7-figure business in the next 3 years, and I'm so confident it'll work just based off what I learned from these past 3. I'm gonna tell you what I learned from each of these 3 businesses, and hopefully you can take it home. These 3 businesses are hardly even related to each other. They're very different, and they weren't all necessarily total failures, but I'm gonna tell you what I learned, starting with my first business. I started the Coco Camper back in 2018-ish as an idea. I wanted to have a food truck that was open in the winter when no other food trucks were around. The idea was I was gonna get a cheap trailer, build it up into a little place where you can serve hot chocolate, because I knew it could be more simple if it's just hot chocolate, maybe a little fried good with a little tabletop fryer like Cronuts, which is what I ended up doing. I built the entire thing. Well, I built one that didn't actually pan out. I ended up giving it to a friend who did a similar idea further south than me, and I saw him get a lot of success. And then around the same time, 2 investors came to me and said, we love the idea. So they put up about, I think, $1,000 each, not a huge amount of money, enough for us to really get started building the trailer. And then we got a $500 old 80s camp trailer that I could barely stand up straight in, which I wish it had been a little taller, but it was so cheap. Then I built it all out. It was really fun to do, but the first mistake right off the bat is I didn't keep any receipts. I didn't keep any track of any of the stuff I bought. I could have depreciated it all. It would have been great for tax season, but I didn't even make it to tax season because this is what happened. I was running this business. I had employees. By the way, the first lesson, don't hire family. I had a brother who worked for me, and he was by far the laziest employee. He's worked for other businesses since then. He's had other jobs, and he's been a great employee. But for me personally, there's just a disconnect with me being his brother that maybe he didn't feel like he could work hard. And I've learned this lesson more than once. Do not work with family, no matter how convenient or simple or easy it may seem. Anyways, I had this business up and running. It was going pretty good. I didn't keep track of the numbers, but it seemed like we were breaking even. Every once in a while, I found out I had plenty of cash to make few upgrades to the trailer as we went. So I made it pretty good, even though it was originally done very cheap. Well, about a year later, I wanted to sell it. So I posted it for sale for about $15,000 because I thought, hey, it's a working business. I don't really know the numbers. That seemed like a good spot to me. I put about $5,000 all in, trying to get it to where it was. That's $2,000 from investors, $3,000 from me. In any case, when I posted it up for sale, immediately questions started coming in. You know, people really wanted the trailer because it was unique. And a large part of it was because I said it was already health department ready. It was ready to be approved. A lot of people are really scared of that process, and that's one thing I learned. If you can be the one to cut through all the bureaucratic red tape for people, there's a huge value in that. All it took was me reading about a 10-page form about the rules of health department, committing it to memory because I had to build the trailer, remember? And then posting it for sale as being health department ready with plenty of sinks and the right sort of ventilation, etc. Well, the person who ended up buying it bought the whole business and he still runs it. And I walked away with about $5,000, $7,000 actually, maybe closer to $4,000 after taxes and paying some stuff off. My investors made more than 200% in less than a year on what they invested, so they were happy. So then why would I consider this a failure? First of all, I didn't keep track of my numbers, but if I had run it for just over a year, enough to do the taxes on it, then I would have something to report, and I probably could have sold it for twice as much. Also, I didn't stick with it. I was swayed by something else. It was shiny object syndrome. I kind of shut down the Coco Camper for nothing. And the Coco Camper is still running. So, you know, it's not a total failure, but I did learn a lot. I put in $5,000. And if I had just sold it as soon as it was built, I could have made an easy $15,000. So $10,000 profit, but it sparked an idea and I'm gonna talk about it later. It's even on this whiteboard behind me. The second business was what I'll just call slider cards. See, I'd moved up north to this little 1-bedroom apartment with my wife, and I was trying to think of something to do for a business because I was working at a call center and I hated it, obviously, so I wanted to do something to get me out of there. I bought a 3D printer and I started 3D printing stuff and I just posted it to TikTok. Well, this was when the TikTok algorithm was really nice to creators, and so a few of those got millions of views, and eventually I was just I was just playing with the 3D printing product that I was doing, and I would just print them, post about them, and I figured if one went viral, I would just sell it on Etsy. And that's exactly what happened. I made these. So you can indicate what you want it to say. You slide it across if you've done it that day. It was really good for people trying to feed their dog, trying to establish a habit. Some people used it for insulin and medicine and things like that. Some people even used it for Alzheimer's patients. It was really inspiring. It was actually a pretty good business. Orders started flooding in because the algorithm has pushed it everywhere. I was getting worldwide orders, some in Australia, Greenland, China. It was crazy. Well, pretty soon it became too much for me to handle. I was in a 1-bedroom apartment, and I think I'll put a picture up, but it looked like this. It was super crowded. It was insane. There were shelves everywhere. I had a table. You could barely walk through there. It was chaotic. So I said, this isn't gonna pan out, but I have a pretty good audience. What if I sold a digital product? In fact, that's probably what I should have started with. So I started making PDFs that were along the same line of productivity, remembering to do something every day. I made a time blocking sheet, and that did really well. And I was able to step back and watch as it still made money. However, the algorithm changed. Suddenly, none of my posts could get more than 400 or 500 views, maybe a few thousand, and it wasn't converting. Something had changed, and apparently it was TikTok's algorithm. It was no good. I was left hanging. Well, at that time I decided to move again. I moved to a bigger place. Actually, we moved to this place, and we thought that it was gonna be a business that we were gonna focus on. We were gonna 3D print all the time because I was still doing 3D prints. But that wasn't gonna pan out. The algorithm had just changed and there was nothing I could do about it. So the lesson I learned from that, obviously, was to not rely on the algorithm. You need different channels to be able to support your business. In fact, you need to have the knowledge to build a channel quickly to be able to sell something. Now, I had something that was pretty valuable. People were buying it regularly for a pretty good price. They were buying a few of my things, and I still get the occasional random sell. But I needed a different way to get people there besides relying on Instagram or TikTok. I also learned that if you want to hire someone, make sure you can do it yourself first, and make sure that's not overwhelming to yourself. You really have to count labor in what you do. When I was making these, it took me so long to color in the words, to glue them together, to package them, and it wasn't good enough quality to be able to sell on a big enough scale for me to be able to do it very successfully. If I were to do this again, I would first make sure that I could do it very automatically. I would make sure that I had an audience that was gonna stick around even if the algorithm changed, even if I had to switch to YouTube instead of TikTok, or Instagram instead, or Facebook. I would make sure I had a way to have paid ads that would justify the cost of these, that I could be able to put it somewhere in the margins without having too much overhead. That way I could always have consistent income from customers, even if I'm paying for ads, so that it could be justified. And then also I'd make sure that it was so easy to make, or so simple that I could teach a lot of people to do it. They could probably, hopefully, do it remotely, and then they could just package and sell it maybe from their apartment as like a side hustle, and then they could make enough money to justify keeping that job, so that I'm not just giving all my money away to employees, or they're just cycling through so I have to keep training people. One thing that I did like though, the biggest takeaway that I had was you can't rely on one algorithm or one channel. You need multiple channels. You need multiple ways to get people to your business or your product. And that's actually what set me on the path of marketing, of learning marketing. Now I'm gonna eat a yogurt. I started learning marketing because I realized that if I want a business that's not subject to the whims of the changes of algorithms and the selfishness of social media companies, then I have to understand marketing so that I can build a business from originally getting an audience, getting people there, and then being able to make money. The third one is kind of a side note. In fact, it happened a little bit before and a little bit after Slider Cards. It was kind of a side hustle. See, I've always been a fan of cars. I love cars. Got one on my desk. So I wanted to be able to write car articles because I saw these journalists who get to drive really nice cars all the time, and I thought that hopefully I could get to that point. A lot of them started off as writers. So I sent emails to all these car companies, all these blogs, and said, hey, can I be a writer for you? One of them said yes. It ended up being a little more, I don't want to say sketchy. It was a lower quality one that just took articles from almost anyone who could write for them. It had some rules, it polished it up, so the articles aren't terrible. But it focused more on traffic and clicks than it did on quality. It's called hotcars.com. In fact, my articles are still on there. But I started writing these articles and I thought, what if I slipped in some Amazon affiliate links? See, I had signed up for Amazon affiliate on a whim, trying to do a side hustle a while ago. And I thought, if I could just put these links in this article, these articles are getting hundreds of thousands of views just through the blog, just because I write them. I think my best one got 300,000 views before it started being knocked down the website. Well, I started putting these products in that were related to cars, things like safety, improvements, things like that. And then people would click on them. And even if they bought something totally different, as long as they clicked on my link to get to Amazon, I was getting a commission. And these articles actually get recycled. The people at Hot Cars are still editing them to make sure that they're fresh, changing a lot of the words in the links so that it stays top of SEO and makes their website look good. So even though I wrote like some 100 articles and left, these articles are being recycled, the affiliate links are being clicked, and to this day, I'm making $50 to $100 a month from those affiliate links. It's a pretty good business. And again, I did say it was a failure, right? Well, I stopped writing those articles because the Hot Cars wasn't paying me enough to write the articles. But that's before I realized the full potential of the affiliate. So I guess in that way, I stepped away before I could actually realize it. I can't recommend it enough. If there's something you like and you want a passive income stream, start writing articles for somebody where you're allowed to slip in affiliate links. Now, of course, some companies won't let you do that. You'll have to figure it out yourself. But if you can get that, it's a golden opportunity. If you can find a company like Hot Cars that just wants to push out a lot of articles, get a lot of attention, and they'll help you grow your audience, at least from the reader side. How many people are going to see each of your articles? Well, they did a lot of the legwork, and I just get a check. The biggest thing I would do if I were to do that again is I would probably write for multiple companies. I'd probably go part-time. I would not use AI because that's a quick way to get kicked out of the industry. Maybe you can use AI to help you because I got to come up with some of these ideas myself. Maybe AI can help you do that. Maybe it can help you structure the article, but you should still write it yourself. And then wherever you can creatively put in an affiliate link or write about products, you're gonna do really good. If you're a woman listening to this, makeup, that's a huge one that you could always just put in a ton of affiliate links, and there's so many different media sources about it. It's amazing. I would totally do it again. The biggest lesson there is that I quit before I could actually see it through. In fact, I thought about going back to do it, but I have different visions and I have a new plan. After having learned all that, I thought back to the Coco Camper. It kept coming up because I realized that was the quickest I could have made a pretty good amount of profit if I had played my cards right. I mean, look at that. This is my plan to be able to make another Coco Camper, except I learned a few lessons. So for example, instead of buying a trailer, I'm gonna build it from the ground up so it's better quality, so there's actually standing room. I found a niche, you could say, of people who wanna buy a food trailer, who want it to look a certain way, and who want it to be already health department ready, everything's ready to go, they just buy it. That's what I'm gonna do. That's what this whole YouTube's gonna be about, but thanks for listening. Let me know if this has been helpful. And also, I have a podcast right now where I give all this business advice that I've learned and learned from other people. And I think about business ideas. It's called Business Creative Podcast. It's wherever you can find it. It's also businesscreativepodcast.com. It's worth checking out. It's how you can get in touch with me. Anyways, thanks for watching. Have a good one. If you thought that video was even a little bit useful, you might like this one maybe a little bit more. Check it out. It's for you. Or you might like this one better. Or if this is my first video, I'm probably awkwardly pointing into the air. If it's my second video, I'm probably also awkward pointedly into the air. Just click on one of these. You're gonna get educated. You're gonna get smart with business. Just give it a shot. What do you have to lose? Click on it. Just give them a second. Just look at it. See if you like it.